This video is one of the series on how to handle big emotions. And when I talk about big emotions, I'm talking about emotions such as anger, resentment, frustration, crying without being able to stop crying, having this intense emotion of anxiety, depression to a point where you can't function. To some people, when you advise them, feel this big emotion, express this big emotion, that's not what they want. The advice they want is to be able to help them to be able to bring this emotion down a little bit to a baseline where they can still feel angry, but they are able to talk about what is upsetting them. They can still feel anxious, but they are able to express their feelings without avoiding it. And these are the tools that I'm going to discuss in this video to help you to be able to bring your emotion from here to somewhere here where it's manageable. So you're not avoiding your emotions, you're not disconnecting your emotions, but you're bringing them down so that they don't control you, they don't take over. I'm going to share up to 4 techniques in this video. But before I do that, I'm going to talk a little bit about why sometimes you handle your own emotion the way you do today. And I'm going to ask you this question. Can you remember the last time you expressed anger in a big way? How did that go? What did you do? What did you say? What did you regret doing or saying? How do you feel about the way you handled that situation? Most of you, when you think of that time, you regret the way you handled it, what you said, how you acted, because your emotion took over. So you are no longer in control at that situation, at that moment. Your emotion was in control. And the danger is when our emotions take control, we end up saying things that can cost our friendship, our relationships, our career. It can cost marriage. It can cost you a lot if you allow your emotions to take over. The second thing I'm going to ask you, the way you express your anger today, the way you express your frustration or resentment today, who reminds you of the way you express your own emotions? Most people, the way they express their emotion today is how they saw their parents, or how they saw the person who brought them up expressing their emotions. What do you think about that? For example, when you express your anger, it's not that the same way you saw your dad or your mom or the person who brought you up expressing the same emotion the same way you are doing it today. When you are feeling anxious, or when you feel anxious today, what do? It's not what you remember your mom doing when she was anxious, when she was depressed, when she was sad, or your dad doing when he was experiencing the same emotions. What I'm trying to say is, the way you express your emotions today is what you learn. Most of you is what you learn from your parents. For example, for those people who comes from a family where parents did not talk about emotions at all, they didn't talk about feelings. You talk about your feelings, nobody listens to you. They brush it under the carpet, or they sweep it under the carpet, or they treat it as if it's not important. They ignore it. So what do you do with your emotion today? Are you not sweeping your emotion under the carpet? Are you not treating your emotion as if it's not important? Are you not disconnecting yourself from your emotions? And to some people, if their parents, that the only time their parents express their emotion is when they were angry, upset, enraged, So how do you express your emotion today? Is it not the same way that the only time you tell people how you feel is when you are angry, upset? The only time you tell people that you're struggling is when you're really depressed, you can't function. But outside that area or outside these occasions, you don't talk about your emotions. But today you can learn how to handle your emotion in a more healthy way. Life is about giving a second chance to do things differently. As a child, you didn't have resources, you didn't have tools, you didn't know where to go to learn how to control your emotion. Today, there's so many resources out there that can teach you how to handle your emotions. And some of the techniques that I'm going to talk about in this video can be a stepping stone of you to have something under your belt, that each time you start feeling this big emotion, you know exactly what to do. So you're not going to run away from them, or you're not going to allow them to take control. So technique number 1, use your bodily sensations as an early sign of when you are getting to these big emotions. There is a big research that has been carried out, and they say that when people start feeling angry, their body feels hot. They can feel it around their head, their faces, their chest, and all their body. Some people start having these fast heartbeats. Some people start sweating, shivering, shaking. You can use those signs as a sign that you need to take time off because you're getting angry. And if you don't control that anger, your anger is going to control what you say. It's going to control your behavior, your action. That is the time not to send that text. That's the time not to call that person. That is the time not to send that email, because it's going to cost you a lot. Technique number 2, avoid distortion thinking. Distortion thinking is a pattern of thinking that makes your emotions even worse, such as jumping to the worst conclusion. For example, somebody just look at you and you start jumping to the worst conclusion that they hate you, they don't like you, they are belittling you. Again, that is going to make you even more angry. Again, another distortion thinking is trying to mind read. For example, again, the same thing, somebody might look at you and you're reading their mind, like maybe they say that you're not good enough, they don't like the way you dress, they don't like the way you sound. These things are not helpful when you're already stressed, when you're already upset. So avoid mind reading, catastrophizing, magnifying problems. For example, you've just gotten something wrong and you're jumping it, you're magnifying, catastrophizing what is going to happen, that you're going to lose your job, that you're going to lose that relationship, that something awful is going to happen. These things are not going to help when you're already having these big emotions. So avoid those type of thinking. Technique number 3, try to ask yourself, are you just reacting because of this one incident? Or your mind is also reminding you of all the bad things that has happened to you. And this one incident, actually, it's reminding you that you've been there before. You know how it feels when people say no to you, when people calls you name, when people criticize your work. You know how it feels because you've been there before. And therefore, when something happens, you overreact because of other things that has happened to you. So in such cases, remind yourself that it's really important for you to focus on what is happening now, not what has happened last week, last month, years back. because that can be quite overwhelming. Deal with the situation that is happening to you right now. This is more manageable. Technique number 4, and the last one. Imagine your emotion is like a plane. When you are becoming angry, when you're having that intense emotion of anger, imagine it's like a plane wanting to start flying, and your job is about forcing that plane not to fly, to remain on the ground. Because if that plane starts flying, it's hard to bring it back to the ground. So when that anger starts getting out, it's really hard to stop yourself from feeling these big emotions. The big emotion is going to take over. It's going to control what you say. It's going to control what you do. It's going to control how you feel. So your job is about making sure the plane does not start flying. Keep it on the ground. Keep it steady on the ground. How do you do it? By making sure that you avoid stress. You are having enough sleep. You are drinking water. Your nutrition is okay. You are exercising. Mentally, you're giving yourself space there to breathe. All these things are really going to help you to put your plane on the ground, to put your emotions on the ground, so that your emotions are not going to overtake you, so that your emotions are not going actually to destroy things. So it's not about disconnecting yourself from your emotions, and it's not about showing your emotion in big ways, but learn how to still be in tune with your own emotions, but also be in control of your own emotions. And if you want to learn more, if you've not yet followed me or subscribed, don't forget to do so. And thank you for watching.